Good evening, everybody. It's Shelley Johns here from Gympie. So I'm a member with Herbalife. I've been with the company now 28 years. I'm here with Ross.
Good evening.
And we're going to be doing the business basics. So this is part 7 of our series, and it's really getting back to basics. And as you can see on here, I've got a picture of the member pack when you get it and some of the things that are in it, and down the bottom I've got how many times have you read your career manuals. And I think it's a good one to go back to, because guess what, we get busy and sometimes it's easy to forget those basics. So make sure that you've at least read it 4 times so that you can just keep going through it. And I get it, the rules one's a bit,
they're all smiling like
it's a
they've
bit
definitely read
boring.
it 4 times.
Like the rules one's a bit boring.
It's the best book.
And but the first one, book 1's got a lot of stuff in it just to give you some basics and skills that you can use straight away. So I was always taught by my sponsor Merv that it didn't matter where you were, you could be in the middle of Australia on a farm doing it on the kitchen table, your business from the kitchen table with a phone, and if you had the career manual and no one to help you, you could still do this business. That's what he always said to me. So obviously better having a mentor, but could you do it without one? That's what he would say. You can do it with everything there that's at your fingertips. So let's move on. Did you have anything to add? Cool. So starting your business, first you want to know, and this is a good one to revisit. Sometimes you need to think about, why am I doing what I'm doing? So what's your why? Because you need to have a strong enough why to get you through the tough times. And if someone's on the call, listen to the recording, and they haven't had their tough time yet, get ready, because it's going to happen. Because remember, the business is a bit like valleys and peaks. It's not usually this direct thing. It generally doesn't happen that way. So every now and then you'll get someone that looks like that's happening for, but eventually they're going to have some sort of challenge, because it's just the way life is. And if you know that to expect that, not that we're going to want to create it, but to expect that those things happen. So know your why, have your vision for whatever that is. And I know Herbalife has a vision of what it wants to do as a company. So basically committed to changing people's lives with innovative products and that support a healthy lifestyle. So, but if that's not your vision, it might be a vision for your family, for your community, for your town, for your country, for the planet. So it depends on where your vision is, and it will change as you go. And then having your goals. And of course, we're all about goals at the moment. We've got a goal setting workshop coming up, and it's something you definitely want to know. Like I know just from talking to the people that are on the call tonight, I know your basic goals. So it's always good to elaborate on them, because there's lots of different things that are important to you. And we're always happy to see your goals list, because we want to know what's important to you, so that we can always remind you of why you're doing what you're doing. And I like the slogan, we make the world healthier and happier, because imagine that, if we're able to impact everybody, what that could mean. Do you want to cover this, or me too?
Just move on. Just move through it fairly quickly.
Cool. So marketing plan goals. So again, this relates back to your goals. What goals do you want? And recognition. Because remember, most people don't get the sort of recognition in their jobs and at home and in their communities that they do with this company. So it's really important that as a mentor you recognize, as a coach you recognize, and it can be from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. And I love all the company recognition for the ones that have started to get certificates and pins. It's kind of cool having them arrive in the mail, obviously all the way along. So, and you just need to choose what pin do I want to aim for. And just to let you know that once you re-qualify as a supervisor, after that first year, you get to qualify for the freshman's class. You get recognised on stage at the Spectacular. You get a cool little hat that you throw in the air. But you just get this really great pack from the company as well, which has got like an organizer and certificate. So they're constantly recognising you for basically for doing your job, which is cool. So there's lots of great resources on myherbalife.com.au. But I want you to think about, what are my goals with the company and what level do I want to get to? And really the sky is the limit. You can aim anywhere. So, but again, if you've got someone in the business that's happy being at 25%, that is fine too. You want to make them feel good wherever they feel they want to be, because it could change, and that's okay. So packaging your income story. So this is something really important. I think our team definitely knows how to nail their product story. I think we've worked really hard on that. So this is the next one that you want to learn how to nail, is your income story. So these are some of the things that were taught to me. One, knowing your details, your name, your background, so what you're doing or what you did, why you joined the company and the opportunity, what you were doing previously, that sort of thing. So you want to share that before Herbalife Nutrition, or if you're doing it part-time. And then some facts, you know, what you earn on your first day, your first week, your first month, however that might pan out, what your income was in the last 30 days, what your income was in the last 90 days, or what your income was last year, depending on how long you've been in the company, and packaging it in the most powerful way. So these are just some good things to have down, and I can send you those screenshots if you like. So some of the other things about packaging your story, these are other things you can tell. I became a success builder and I turned that over, and in my first 10 days I earned. So you might have a team member that does a success build order, they have a business launch or a shake party, and they make $300, $400, $800 profit in 10 days. So that's a really powerful income story. I became a supervisor in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. I was able to pay for a family holiday or a new car with my Herbalife income. I started earning from Herbalife, and I've increased my income by 40%. So there's different ways of packaging it in 3 months, 6 months, in the last 12 months. I went on a national, went to a national event or international event. And important that when you're talking income, you're talking retail profit, wholesale, wholesale that's supposed to be, wholesale profit and royalties. So whichever one, so some people starting out will just be on retail profit, so help them work that out. Then wholesale profit and royalties, and you can combine the whole lot, or you can say yesterday, just helping a couple of clients, my retail profit was, and do it that. So talk income, not retail sales figures. And never say my best month was, or I don't know what I earned. Try and have an amount. So if you don't know what you've earned, it's better not to say, but use the month before or something like that. So this is some homework to do for everyone, is getting your income stories down pat, okay? And it doesn't matter if, say, if you've got someone on an NRG yesterday and you're able to earn $20 in half an hour or 10 minutes, that's what you would share, okay? That's how I would package my income story. Okay, so daily schedules and weekly schedules. I think this is great. I'm very much work from my diary, and then I have a checklist that I write out for each day. And I know that's something that we try and do, is sit down the night before or in the morning and plan it. Because sometimes we don't do it.
Oh, right, okay.
My intention is to do it.
Right, I'm glad you have an intention.
So you can have a daily schedule, things I must do, I must contact. These are the things. So having kind of some schedules, so I can upload this again, this little thing on the left, someone made it ages ago. So if you want to copy it, it's kind of cute. But the weekly schedule, I've got the one that goes from Monday to Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it's good to block in all the things that you do. So I know I'm getting Cheryl to do this at the moment. I want to know what her hours are and what pockets of time she has available to do Herbalife. I know what her goals are, I know how many hours she can do, but I want to see where it is so I can help put a plan together for her. So block in all your times, make sure there's family time. You've got your work, there's study, you know, you've got to make sure you allow time for everything. So because if it's all work, it's, you know, it's going to put your life out of balance. And if it's not enough work, you're not going to get to your goal. So you need to make sure you use these and print them out. I like to hand draw mine a lot of the time, and I'm always rewriting them and redoing them. But to have some sort of schedule, especially if you're working as a couple, that you want to know the times you can work together, the times you're doing stuff separate, and family time most importantly. So do you want to go through this?
Sure. So it is a business, and you have to remember it is a business. So you need to start treating it accordingly where receipts and bits and pieces are concerned. So you definitely need to keep every receipt you possibly can that you can relate to what you're doing. Oh, you're finding some.
I've got receipts here.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
There's some receipts.
And you also got to get them out of your partner's purse or wherever they've got them, because otherwise it's very hard to claim them.
And more.
Oh, and more. Yeah, cool. So you need to work out what obviously your income, your mobile phone or house phone is, the internet, the advertising, printing, stationery, motor vehicle. So we carry keep a logbook. You have to use what works for you, however your level of you're doing it. And the other thing that I listened to something today was, and I will be going to look it up, is where do you sit within the Australian tax department where a small business is concerned? Are you claiming everything you're supposed to be claiming? Something I listened to today, and obviously this program I listened to is about America, and they'll talk about, it was a whole section on the tax and their componentry within tax in America. And it actually, the accountant that got on said the average accountant in America hasn't got a clue about network marketing and what you can and you can't claim from a small business point of view. And they claim what they believe is right. But the lady got on and said she actually went and seriously dug into it, and by having a small business and still working, they were able to claim so much more. Obviously, it was American system, that was fine, but it made me really take a note and go, hey, we really need to look up the Australian tax componentry and find out, and ask the question if you go to an accountant, do they understand network marketing? Do they understand that componentry of small business, or they just understand whatever they've been taught?
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting to listen to. So you have to keep records.
Keep all your receipts. Just
Pretty well.
keep them, because even if you can't claim, at least you've got them.
That's correct.
And you actually photocopy yours, because they do fade.
So yes, I actually, and I haven't got on this. So what I do is every single receipt that I get, I go and photocopy it. I staple that to a piece of paper so that no matter what happens, it's very obvious that was the photocopy. Because yes, we live in a world of laser receipts. And even if you leave them face up, within a couple of days in a normal house under normal semifluorites, they'll be gone. They'll disappear. So that's why I photocopy it, and I also turn them all upside down and put them over on the shelf upside down. So yeah.
There is some online apps that you can get for collecting your receipts as well. So it just takes a photo of your receipt and keeps them electronically in the cloud.
Cool. Excellent. I think I'm still the old school car, unfortunately. I'm not a cloud.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't live in the cloud yet, but we'll get to it.
Oh, yeah. One day we will get
One
to the
day we'll
cloud.
get to find the cloud. Right. So your profits should be reinvested in your businesses where possible. And I know that's not always the case, and I understand. Or a percentage of that. You know what I mean? You should try and, if in theory you went out and bought a certain amount of stock, you should always try and keep that as stock. Replace that stock, and the profit of that should be the profit for your business. It would be no different if I went and opened any business. If I sold all my stock and used all the money that I made, what do I buy new stock with? So you have to start to think about by the way. Stock should be kept separate from personal use. I will admit to, and then Shelley won't like it, but when I first got involved with her, it was very not that way at all. It was very much the personal use and the stock was all just mixed together, and it was like
free for all.
Totally. And it was like, we use that, I consume that. Oh, okay, fine. So theoretically, it's taken time, and it does take us time. You eventually slowly go, and you might only start with one canister is just stock. It doesn't matter, but that is the stock. Your own use is your own use, and you try not to ever mix the two. There will be times where you go, oh, I'm out of Formula One vanilla. I'll grab stock, I'll consume it, and then I'll go and replace it if that's what you have to do. But where possible, keep it separate. Try and create a separate bank account for your business. Now, I'll advocate to Suncorp, but there's anything else, only for the fact that there is no business visa unless I open a business account. And the only reason I need a business account is if I want to use Square. So I need to use that to be able to log the system in. But outside of that, Suncorp has zero fees. I can set up as many sub-accounts in that as I choose to. And there's plenty of other banks. Now, when I first got involved with Shelley, you had Westpac and you had Bendigo Bank. And when we worked out with the fees, it was ridiculous. Westpac were costing $120 a year just to have the account open. Bendigo Bank was about $60 a year just to have the account open. Why? When it was doing no other functions. Now, Suncorp does have a $5 fee. So in their business account, because of Square, so whatever I have to use Square or use the credit card style system, that's one way to go. But there's obviously YesCard, there's obviously other ones out there as well.
Yeah, CUA, you don't have to be in a business account to use Square.
Yep.
So that's just the way that we set it up, and it's just a normal savings account.
So who was that through?
CUA.
CUA. Okay, cool. Excellent. And look, and there's plenty of other ones. I know some people use the INGs. I don't like companies where it's totally internet based. I have no way to access it if I have a problem. But yeah, everything, you have to find your own. I get that. Another thing you should learn to do is save 10% of everything you earn. It is the way to start to build a nest egg at some point. And, you know, if you listen to all the Jim Rohn books, it's everything, or any of the Richest Man in Babylon, it's all about you should pay yourself first, which is always difficult to do. I get that. I really do get that. But you should try and take 10%, even if it's $1 and you put 10 cents away, you'd be surprised how quickly that will add up if you find that ability. And if you can do it when it's tough and it's tight and it's early days, it's very easy when it gets to the other end, right? Because I can tell you, if I said to you I earned $1 million and 10% is 100,000, you would, if you didn't have the habit in place, that 100,000 would be still, oh, how do I put that away? So you start early, it just builds the business from there.
Jerome says that start when the amounts are low because it'll be easier when the amounts are bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know how difficult that can be at times. I really do. All right. So customer order forms, you really do need to make sure you are giving a customer order form. Any retail receipt to a client, you do. Herbalife do have the right to come and audit you. If you said I've sold this amount of retail stock and you can't produce receipts, they can question you in detail, especially if you're trying to claim royalties and bits and pieces. So you need to, and it keeps it for the tax point of view. It can show that.
So it's happened once in 28 years.
Yeah,
for me,
but still, it's still there. And obviously they have the right at any point to come and do that if they choose to. But you should keep a retail receipt. It shows to the customer what you've put on the retail receipt. You fill the form out as it is. And then if you want to, you can either write on the back of the form once you've given them their copy, your pink copy, and what your profit is, if that makes it easier, whichever way you seem to do it. And you put some photos up, is that right?
Yes, this is your squiggle.
So this is some squiggle you may, Shelley took some photos of, you may not be able to read. So if you look on the right-hand side to start with, what I'm looking at, where it's got Herbalife December 2019. So I've blanked out everything in the page, and I've remade my own sheet. So it has volume points down one side, and it has the 50% because obviously we're 50% supervisor.
So if someone was 25%, they'd have the.
Yeah, if you were 25% member, you would leave the 25, 35, or 42 in place. And then every time we open accounts, so if you look at Formula Ones there in that particular point so far, we've already used 3. Yes, we use a lot of Aloe. That's 7 already so far for the month.
I cracked open a new bottle today.
There you go. So we use a lot of Aloe, but we don't, not everything else. So yes, we are big product users. But I mark everything off, and then at the end of the month, I calculate across 3 Formula Ones at whatever the cost is to me, and then I also work out the volume points. So I know that tracking that on a regular basis. On the other side on the left, again, I write everything down in a book. I'm still a little bit anal where that's concerned. I still can't get that stuff to the cloud or have it on an Excel spreadsheet yet. So I write everything down on the book. So the product, so first column would be products. So everything that customer bought. So Margaret bought whatever these items were. How many of each was sold? So 1, 1, 1, and a 2, right? Reorder. So it's direct to Margaret because she lives in Western Australia. So I don't have to replace my stock. So if I was selling it out of us or out of the stock that we carry, I would then have to reorder it. So if you see down here, there are some areas where it does show reorder. But if it's direct to customer and it's sent, I know that that's where it went. The total retail sale, not my profit, the retail sale. So whatever level Margaret was on. And then I work out the total profit on the side of that from there. And then there's the 10% tagged in the side. And the little tick is, yes, I actually transferred my 10% into one of those sub accounts. I do that for every order that Shelley eventually does give me a receipt for. Sometimes they're a little bit slow within the month, but yes, I do. And just to try and keep an idea of what I'm tracking out, what I'm doing. It also does a couple of things. It shows me then what is the average retail sale going to be? What is the average volume point going to be from a metrics point of view? How much work am I doing? So some of these orders weren't great. Some of these orders were just a multivitamin. Some were, and a couple of times we've just sold just a lift off, or just a beverage, which is fine. But I'm always trying to look at what is the average. So there was obviously the first order was 96.7 volume points. The last order on that sheet's 131. But there's other ones in here that are only like 20 volume, which is fine. It does, but I'm trying to look at what am I doing and then what's the profit from there. So yeah, I try and keep document. You got to do your own system, man.
And your retail clients will be made up of all of those.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Yes. Yeah. All right. So we keep going on record keeping. So Herbalife does have a thing called BizWorks. There is a point where you will possibly need to do that. So an example would be, so I understand Amanda and James, you've become 50% members as of now, or thereabouts, so that's what she's looking to do, and I'm getting nods of the head. Congratulations. So Cara, where you were able to track what was going on, now you will lose the ability, because now they're supervisors. You cannot see anything they can do other than what BizWorks will show you. So that's where you start to make the decision. When do I want BizWorks? And BizWorks works out to be, it's about $11-ish a month. I'll say 11-ish to 12, because there is an exchange rate of whatever it is. So it works out to about $12 to $13 by the time you hit the exchange on a monthly basis. That once you activate into BizWorks, you set it up and go from there. So there is a point where yes, you'll need it. There is a point where you don't need it, and you can check your own download members' orders, and you can see what they're doing. And yeah, so but you have to find that level again yourself when you feel your time is right for that point of view. I love it because I would not have a clue what's going on without it, because once we get to where we are, there's no way I can track what we do anymore. All right. When you are at a supervisor, you have to fill out a customer 10 form. And I can go through that in more detail. I have done that with some, but and that has to be completed before the 5th of every month. And again, it's within your office componentries. You can go up onto that and you can fill that. And that is all your retail sales, all your 10 customers, all your own product use, all has to be valued into that. And that's how you, obviously, they verify that, yes, you're entitled to get a royalty. And it's just a matter of, you're doing it anyway. So, you just put it through from there.
So it's basically for supervisors, with supervisors underneath them, so they can get their royalty each month.
That's what it's for. All right. So you need to make sure you got email reminders and that sort of stuff. You need to keep some sort of customer records, whichever it is, whether it's an expander file, whether it's a little flip book, whether
you can do it on BizWorks. Yeah.
You build it on BizWorks, whatever system you want to use. BizWorks will give you all that. You can put in every customer, you can put in their birth dates, all that sort of stuff. You can set it fully up in the system if you want to.
Did you have a question, Cara?
More just a comment on on your My Herbalife website. You can add all of those contacts in.
Yep.
Without BizWorks.
Yes.
Reminders and tasks for yourself, so when to follow them up, and cool.
Yeah. So the system does help you a lot if you utilize it the right way.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Yeah. But some people that still live in paper seem to write a lot of stuff down. But that's okay. It takes all of us at each level of generation.
I'll just get a personal assistant.
Yeah, that's correct. So do you want to do this? Or do you want to? So you do need to get we'll do it together. You do need to get an ABN registration at a point. Why? If you're wanting to run a business, you need to start as one, and that's something you need to consider. All right. And there's no GSCs required until your business reaches the 75,000 gross income. So in the early stages, it's not a problem. It's okay.
I think it's when you're wanting your business PayPal and you're wanting to set up your Go Herbalife, it just makes it easier with the ABN, as we all know, that we all just went through all of that. And not to Google it, because we don't want it to cost us money, do we? We want it to be free. But yes, until really, GST is not required until you're doing that 75,000 gross income. But Herbalife requires an ABN when you're receiving $10,000 of royalties in any 12-month period. So there are things, but if you need help, we're more than happy to do that. But you can go online to the government site, but there is an ABN form there as well. So so if you need help with any of that, member services is great, or just ask one of us.
Yeah. Another thing you haven't put on here as well, if you haven't already submitted your bank details to Herbalife, and if you may not have members and that are other actual membership, you need to make sure you do that, because Herbalife, it's the one thing where you do send your bank details that actually someone's going to put money in your bank account for you. So you do need to make sure you do that and follow the documents and policies part and get into that from there.
You want to have a break talking?
I don't care.
Professional development. So every company has professional development. So as we know, it doesn't matter what industry you're in or business you're in, you've always got to do updates and learning. So basically our professional development is our training, so learning about the products, which is why we go to STSs and just follow up and all those sort of things. Just being an event, you're always learning more about the products, any new products that are coming out, changes to existing products, which does happen from time to time. So if you use an example as a tax agent, they have a minimum of 10 hours per year of professional development to keep all their updates, and 90 hours over 3 years. So it happens a lot. So think of it as your training as your professional development. Plus you have events like STSs, webinars. So add all the dates into your diary. Obviously the Queensland dates for STSs are on brisbanests.com. When you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the website, they should have all the dates when the next ones are.
The dates are in there now at the moment, all the way up until February, March, April, I noticed the other day.
So if you scroll down, you can write all the dates in, and generally we do that because we're trying to work around when do we have the girls and when we don't, and organising those sort of things. But if you can't make it to an STS, so just say you've got a team member in the Northern Territory or something like that, and there is no STS near them or in their state, webinars are absolute must for them, and plugging them into that support system. But just think of it as part of it's like you're at Herbalife Nutrition University, and this is you're doing your degree as a Herbalife nutrition coach, and this is what you need to do to get there. And if you treat it like that, it's interesting that once you raise that bar on that everyone will follow suit on taking that seriousness for it as well. So,
and realistically, as much as we'll harp on it, professional development, the biggest thing is personal development. Which is the next thing, is it? There you go. All right. It's personal development. It is your biggest professional development. In the end of the day, you have to understand one thing that we all eventually get to learn in this business. The marketing plan is exactly the same for everybody. The products are exactly the same for everybody. The difference in the end becomes down to us. Our ability to learn, grow, develop is what makes the difference in the end of where you succeed and where you don't succeed. And until you eventually get that, that's where the stumbling blocks, that's where the obstacles, that's where the walls of the pain and all that start to come from. And it's a lot easier to get over when you do your own personal development. Now, you have to grow that at your own ability. And the biggest thing you got to remember there is what we often get told or got listened to is your page 1 could be someone else's page 20, could be your page 1. You have to remember that everybody's at a different level. Also, everybody's come from a different walk of life or different background. So they have different experiences from different points of view. Everybody starts out the same, but you have to go from there, and you have to find stuff to listen to. You know what I mean? You have to, at the end of the day, your best investment is in yourself. You have to remember that. And I know we all go, yeah. But it really is for someone that, went through in the early stages. Why am I going to this event? Why am I going to an STS? Why am I doing this? It's driving me nuts. But until I started to learn that I needed to grow and develop and understand things, even though I'd done personal development all my life, I still struggled with it.
So the Millionaire Training Tapes are great because Larry Thompson talks about that majority of the problems that you're going to have in the business are personality problems. It's personality. So the more you work on yourself and you're able to deal with things, because when you do personal development, you're less likely to react and you're in solutions mode more. And it was interesting at the Success Summit, Jess Morgan said, I think on the Sunday, she said that generally when she has someone with an issue, she doesn't reply to them straight away. And the reason for that is because she said most of the time people actually end up working it out and they don't need her. So she never replies straight away. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I know Gary always said, if you've got an issue, don't call me unless you've got 3 solutions. And you can spend 5 minutes on the problem, but the rest of the time on the solution. And he said generally by then too, they've already got the solution. So often they didn't need him. So I thought that was really interesting as well. So, but yes, to keep working on yourself. We're not taught to do this. We go to school. We're not taught to really work on ourselves, and I think this is the most important thing. And then putting it into practice, because once you learn all this, by dealing in situations where there's issues and problems and challenges, that's when your personal development gets put into practice. It's not just theory anymore, and that's really important as well. And you'll grow so much from it.
And look, and the other thing is too, there is so much today that you can actually do, not actually even have to read it if you didn't want to. There's so much on podcasts. There's so much you can actually listen to. That you don't have to read. Sometimes reading is better because it allows you to take notes in margins and bits and pieces you can highlight or whatever the case book if it's your book. But you also have to find something that you actually enjoy, because there's plenty of books out like the one I'm reading at the moment. I will finish it, but it really is not inspiring. It's not inspiring to read from my direct point of view. But
I'm reading this one. I'm reading Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. So I'm reading it backwards because I'm doing the millennial stuff, because I'm interested in the millennials and how to work with them better, because obviously, I'm talking about the girls and people in that younger age go, and how do we help them?
Yep. So you do need to do whatever you need to do. Whatever that is. It's like what we're doing at the moment. I've paid for a live stream webinar from America at the moment. So I watch 4 hours of it today. The next session starts at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning and goes for 12 hours tomorrow. So that's not everything on it was exciting. It was like, yeah. And I reckon in the first hour and a half this morning, I wrote 6 pages of notes where I wouldn't normally write that much. So there was bits and pieces, and then the notes started to slow down, and then I wrote some more in the last half an hour. There was no need to, because the way they did the presentation.
Yeah, well, they finished with the $1 million earners, where they recognise them. So it's all generic. No one promotes their own company.
Yeah.
But so in network marketing, all these people were around the world that are earning over $1 million a year, like, or more. There was one guy, him and his fiance, they were both earning $3 million a year each.
Yeah. So it's obviously it's a program designed to help and assist people in network marketing. The first thing he said when he got on the stage was, if you are banned from even wearing a pin, even your pin to state what level you are within your organization cannot be worn, cannot wear anything with the branding on it, cannot carry a water bottle, cannot carry anything of any organization, because there was lots of organizations there. And if you try to solicit or recruit anybody within the organization, they will remove you and tell you to see you later and do not come back, which was quite good to understand that, it was designed, but everybody's has the same problems. Doesn't matter what company you work for. So, yeah. All right. So
last slide.
Last
To
slide.
grow your Herbalife nutrition business, you must grow yourself. I thought that was a nice thing. And we're all like these little tiny seeds, and we're going to grow into massive big oak trees, and with this huge root system, which is our team, and have an amazing foundation, and surrounded by other massive oak trees. How cool is that? So we'll finish recording, and then we can chat.
Yep.
So let's do that. So I'll stop share, stop recording.